Yo, Ermac77 for Ninja Pop News. Okay, as you guys already know, yesterday the Microsoft revealed the next Xbox system, and apparently it's going to be called the Xbox One. Now, it's been within 24 hours, and the internet has finally had a chance to get, a firm grasp around a little bit of the hardware and what's to come in the near future from Microsoft. And we pretty much have as much news as we're going to have until the upcoming weeks for E3, when we'll probably see more games. Um, to be honest with you, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I would be. And from reading more as to what the next Xbox is going to do, I just think that it's going to be a fail. It's going to maybe get its first good sales for about 6 months. Then, when people realize, hey, we're not going to be able to do what we want with it, it's going to be a lot of trade in values. One complaint that I do want to fish out right now, that I just want to shoot down, is the name of the Xbox One. Yeah, it's a little bit confusing from the name for the original Xbox, but I do understand it's supposed to be a rebranding of the entire Xbox foundation itself, and it's saying it's the only console that you're going to need. From what it sounds like, this might be Microsoft's last console. After this, they're not making anything else because you'll be able to do updates and all that. But now down to the nitty gritty. The press review itself was a little shaky. First off, the Xbox console itself, while it does look good, it resembles a freaking VCR. I have a huge issue with that. I'm kind of hoping that before the initial console comes out, they do make a few more revisions. I don't like the look of it. I think it's a little ugly. It just looks like a giant VCR cable box. The jump to this multimedia experience that Microsoft has been trying to do for the past 6 years is getting a little too annoying, and I just don't like it. I don't see the point of it. As you can, if you were able to watch it, they have more Connect integration where you can move your hands and do all this and talk to it, and it moves and it does all this stuff. These aren't things that we're asking for. What we're asking for is something that's going to play games, and so far they haven't shown anything. They showed one game that's supposed to be called Quantic Dream, which sounds like the French publisher, the French developer that did Heavy Rain for Sony back in 2009. So that's extremely confusing. What I did like that I heard from Microsoft was 15 exclusives for the Xbox. That's awesome. And 8 of them are going to be brand new IPs. Now that's ambitious, but what I do want to know is how many of those new IPs are going to be up at launch. EA is giving exclusive content to Microsoft to the next Xbox for FIFA, which is something that's very interesting that I think a lot of people need to really look at. FIFA is very popular outside of America, i.e. Europe, Latin America. Everyone loves football. Everyone loves soccer. Everyone loves that sport. And it's gotten so much ground through the PlayStation. It is a little bit of a shot at Sony that Microsoft is getting this exclusive, but at the same time, is it really, really going to get the Xbox the ground up that it really needs outside the US? The interface does look interesting. I do like the fact that it's using man, I'm at such a brain fart right now. It's ridiculous. But I do enjoy the fact that it uses the exact same Microsoft dashboard. The original dashboard, I think that is pretty good. It's got a decent change up. They're adding Skype to the system. Connect looks a little bit better, but let's face it, we a hardcore gamer doesn't care about Kinect. Now, down to the nitty gritty, a lot of the huge issues that I am seeing. The console itself is going to require an always online connection. It's got to stay online for 24 hours for anything to be played. I think that that's a bad move. I understand that sooner or later that's going to be the future of gaming, but with the data crisis that's going on in America, how's that going to work? That's what I need to know. Some places are only getting 3 megs of data. If you live out in a rural area, some places are only getting 3 megs of data, How does that work? We're literally ranked, 13? I think we're 13 in the world for the best internet connection ever. And I just don't see how that's going to work. That's one issue I have. Everyone's complaining about the console itself being on in a power state. I like the idea of it being on a sleep state when I'm not playing, because if I'm going to talk to my console, say Xbox on, Xbox TV, Xbox Music, you got to keep it on. So that's understandable. I don't see why there should be a complaint on that. But what I do have a huge complaint on are 2 pieces. One, the blocking of used games. Apparently, the way it's supposed to work is you purchase a game, which is going to be $65 or $75. You know how that works. Whenever a new generation comes out, it raises $10 to $15. I digress. You buy the game, you have to install the entire game onto your HDD drive, your hard disk drive, and that's how you play the game. Now, if you want to play it, if you loan it to a friend, not saying trade it in, if you loan it to a friend, that friend won't be able to play that game unless he pays a small fee, or probably a large fee, depending on what it is, to play that game. Do I think that's wrong? Do I think it's a shady business practice and very anti-consumer? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really do think that is. I think it's stupid, and I'm kind of hoping that use game shops like GameStop or Play and Trade actually look at this and say, you know what? We're going to shrink your section just a little bit smaller, and we're going to start pushing more PS4 and Nintendo Wii U. I kind of want that to happen. Now, also something very interesting. 2 weeks ago, EA made the statement that they were getting rid of their online passes. So it's pretty funny that you see EA partnering with Microsoft the way they are right now, since Microsoft is using an always online system. Everyone knew this was gonna happen. I foresaw it. I wish I'd have done this video earlier, but you saw the pattern there. EA gets rid of online passes. Xbox is always online. So we're going to see a bigger partnering possibly with EA and Microsoft than we are going to see with Sony and EA like we did this current gen. Another huge issue, which is also something that's huge on comparison that a lot of people aren't looking at, indie developers. Indie developers will no longer be able to self-publish titles onto the Xbox. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because let's face it, Microsoft is very shitty when it comes to EA games. Look at Fez. Phil Fish is literally having a huge issue trying to give a very much needed update to the system, to Fez's system itself, and it's not working. You have to pay a substantial amount of money in order to put an update to your own game that's going to make it run better for your system. Which just confuses me. It's very weird. Go on Phil Fish's blog, and you can, on eBlogger, and you can actually read and you can actually find out more about it. But it's very interesting that you're not going to be able to self-publish onto the Xbox One. But Sony itself is actually working so close with indie developers, not only with this last runaround with the PlayStation 3, but also in the beginning production of the PlayStation 4. You're going to see more indie games, a lot more indie developers, and it looks like it's going to be very, very, very developer friendly, more developer friendly than the Xbox is. because there's no telling how many servers are going to be up and online at the time of the Xbox One. Now, is that to say that the next Xbox is going to be extremely expensive? Not necessarily. We're probably going to be looking at a range of maybe $450 to $500 for this next Xbox. That's how I feel about it. Now the same thing with PlayStation. It might be a range from $450 to $500. Anything over that, then yeah, they're not going to see the sale, the Christmas sales that they're going to want to see when the holidays turn about and their consoles are released. Now, comparison to the PlayStation 4 review and the Xbox One review. The PlayStation 4 review talked more about specs, talked more about what the system can do when running a game. Everything else will come in the future, and probably 6 months into the future. What the PlayStation 4 will be able to do, the PlayStation 4 will be able to do exactly what the Xbox One will be able to do. So I don't necessarily see why Microsoft is going this cable box route instead of just showing off the games and showing off what the system can do. I'll be totally honest with you. I don't care about EA games. I don't really care about their sports games. I'm not a sports player. Well, besides hockey and baseball every once in a while, but I'm not the huge EA sports player. I don't see the point of it. Some people play it, but I know more fans of EA Sports on PlayStation than I do Microsoft. So I want to see how that. I would love to see how that transition works. They talked very little about specs. They didn't tell you what was going to be, what's in this console, what this console can really do when it comes to game-wise. And also, do you have to pay a subscription fee to Xbox Live again? That to me is a big question that weighs on my mind. It's not right that you have to pay a subscription to Xbox Live plus a subscription to everything else. Your subscription to Netflix, your HBO subscription, your Pizza Hut subscription, all the fees you have to pay. And then you have to pay this one outline fee that's $60 a year. It'll probably be even more when the Xbox comes out. While Sony's is obviously going to be free. Now, I'm not saying that PlayStation Sony is not going to be always online. We haven't heard that yet. But from what I understand, you will be able to sign off and you will be able to play your game. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be buying the next Xbox. Not anytime soon, anyways. I'm just really befuddled as to how Microsoft thinks that this is going to work for the consumer when it's more anti-consumer. And it goes all the way back to what Animorph said. You know, the old guy who was twittering everybody, trolling people. The fact of the matter is, if you built this console when still so many people don't have the internet bandwidth to stay online, you're destining yourself for failure. I mean, how do the investors actually feel about this? From what I understand, GameStop is sold on the system. I don't know how, but they are. And the investors themselves, are they really going to sit back and say, are they really going to take what, if only 30% of Xbox 360s, 70% of Xbox 360s are online right now, which means they're probably generating maybe anywhere from, I'd say, 10 to maybe $20 million, which actually is really that's not a lot of money if you're a giant corporation like Microsoft. They're generating that much money from that. Now, if they were on 100% of the time, they'd be generating in the hundreds of millions. So the investors are literally saying right now, hey, we're going to go ahead and take this 30%. We're going to take that 30% fall and see where the console goes from that. That's a very, 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 very shitty task to do. I mean, if I was Microsoft, if I was an investor in Microsoft right now, I would be scared shitless about the Xbox One. That's pretty much my thoughts today. Do I think the Xbox is going to win over PlayStation 4? I'd say people who adopted the Xbox when it first came out and stayed pure Xbox are going to stick to the Xbox when it comes out in November or December, whenever it decides to come out. But I think overall, this generation, the next generation, might go to PlayStation 4. Because, let's face it, Microsoft's moving away from games and just creating the cable box. Yeah, that's pretty much my initial thoughts on the Xbox Live. On the next Xbox One, I should say. Excuse me. I think it's gonna be a fail at launch. I think it'll do slightly better than the Wii U, but I don't think it's gonna have the substantial amount of credibility to outsell the PlayStation 4 when it comes out. Because let's face it, PlayStation 4 has what? When it was revealed, you had Knack, you had the new Killzone, another Infamous, you had Destiny, the new game by Bungie, and a plethora of other developers that were going to be working together. Microsoft only had EA showing up, and then of course Forza. I'm not impressed. That's the only thing I can say. It's unimpressive, and it's just not a good idea. Yeah, you guys already know I'm Juan Garcia. Message me with your thoughts. Tell me what you guys think about the Xbox. And please, no trolling, no PlayStation's better than Xbox. None of that war. Give me a pure intellectual conversation as to how you guys think about the next Xbox. I'm Ermac77. If you don't have a controller, you're not having fun.